Hey y'all, just got back from an awesome church service. Tonight was Man Church with Rick Burgess from the Rick and Bubba Show. And I just got to share with you because it's pretty awesome. The feral devotions that I've been thinking about lately was on names. And when I got to church, I didn't know what he was going to speak on, but the cool thing was he brought up in Genesis 32 where Jacob gets a new name. He wrestles with God and he gets a new name. And it's like, all right, God, this is just incredible. I mean, I just thinking about that new name, and because what I've been tossing around in my mind was back when I was in high school, I was known as the Critter Getter. That was my nickname. So I mean, you guys know me. I hunt, I fish. That's really probably the biggest part, other than Jesus and family, of my life is hunting and fishing. So yes, I was the critter getter through that whole time, and I own that. I still own that. That's kind of where the Feral One came out, that a lot of you guys know me as now. But I mean that kind of morphed into that. But back when I got out of tech school, I had I had just I had just gotten out of and got into the textile mill that I was working at, and probably the first big job that I got sent on to do myself, a line of machines was down, and I opened up the machine and I saw on a breaker, I saw there was a wire out, and I thought, okay, this is it, this is the problem, this is why the machine's down. So meticulously I put the wire back in, and at the exact same moment that I flipped the breaker on, unbeknownst to me, across town, somebody ran into a substation with their vehicle and it blacked out the entire mill. Now, mind you, this mill was 466 yards long, two different halves, thousands and thousands of machines, and it went black. I'm talking solid black, like silent crickets. And as soon as the lights came back on, the fixer that was working on the machine, he stood next to me. He says, and he just turns around and walks away. Well, from then on, I became known as Nitro, which was short for nitroglycerin, and that was my textile mill electrician name was Nitro, because they said I blew up the world. So I had to own Nitro for the 8.5 years that I worked there at that mill because of one instance. And that's the power of a name, that it develops. Like I said, from the critter getter, I own that. I had that. The Nitro, yeah, I didn't blow stuff up regularly. Now, I mean, as a technician, there's going to be times that things get blown up, but I don't know that I needed to identify as Nitro, And tonight, the discussion was, like I said, Jacob, he was a deceiver. Yeah, that was what he was owned as, but God gave him a new name and moving forward. And in 2 Corinthians 5, I think it's verse 17, it talks about anybody's in Christ is a new creation. So when we do come to him, we get a new name, and our name is going to be his identity in us, not what we do, not what we're known for. You're not going to be known as failure. You're not going to be known as sinner. You're not going to be known as adulterer. You're not going to be known as drunkard. You're not going to be known as whatever it is that's tangling you up in your web of deception and sin. You're going to be known as the name that he gives you. What a promise that we don't have to own, hello, my name is Nitro, for the rest of our life. My name is redeemed. And what a name that is. Keep that. Own it. He's given you a new name. Live that way.